Hey guys, Brian here, and welcome back to Direct Admission. And in today's episode, it's a really good one because we brought back my friend Kevin Mendoza, who's an EP tech, who sadly left our workplace. He left the job that we worked together at, but he found a better position, and he goes over why he did this and all the reasons why potentially you should be job hopping as well, because it's all about knowing your worth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you like the video. So we have my ex-coworker now, Kevin Mendoza, back. First one back here on the podcast. And we're going to go over why he left, which is a really shitty reason, but shitty reason for our workplace. Good reason for him to leave. But again, welcome back, Kev. Sad to see that you're no longer my coworker, but let's go into some stuff.
Sure, man. I too am very sad that I had to leave everybody, but just looking out for myself and, my best interests and what moves are going to excel me in what I want.
Yeah, and for those that don't remember, Kev is a EP lab tech now. What's the exact title now with the RCES?
Registered cardiac electrophysiology specialist.
There you go. So what we talked about in the last podcast was that after a certain amount of hours or a certain amount of cases, you're allowed to do a certification that makes you a specialist and should significantly increase your pay, right?
Right. $30,000 increase. What it would have been had things been done correctly. But we all know how that went.
And when did you pass that?
October.
Oh dang, it's really
been 3 months.
It's really been 3 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
the big thing was the reason why he's leaving is because after he passed the certification, the promises of the pay bump was that he would get retro pay for all the time you've had your certification until I guess they upped the pay.
Right.
And then from there on out, your hourly would go up. You'd see the certification pay and all that.
Exactly.
But none of that happened.
Right. None of it happened. So I guess you could say I got tired of waiting, as most people would have been in that situation. Because, once you're expecting, like you do all this work, you do all the studying to take an exam, you pass it first time. Oh my God. Now I'm gonna get all this money. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're super excited. I'm gonna get all this money. And then, you submit your information, your credentials, and you do everything that you can on your part correctly and as fast as possible.
Yeah, and you're doing it by the book too. You ask, what do I need to do? You ask everyone else that had a certification.
I'm asking all the right people. I'm asking all the right people. I'm doing all the right things, and I do them. And things just don't happen on their end, so I don't get rewarded for
the hard work. And that is such trash, because now from the aspect of my work now we're down a really good tech. We're gonna have to find someone, which will probably take like 6 months, and then you're gonna have to train someone for another 3 months, and you don't even know if they're gonna pan out to even be like helpful,
right?
Like you don't know personalities like that. So it's such a tough situation where all they had to do to keep you was pay you accordingly, pay you promptly, and you probably wouldn't have even searched for the next job right away.
Right. I think had they paid me promptly, I would have delayed my search at least just to see how. Okay, so if they did pay me promptly, at least I would have experienced that kind of pay and what that kind of pay would have done. So then I would have just let it ride and live that life for a little bit. And then if I liked it enough, then yeah, I probably would have stayed. But since I never got that taste, and nothing on their end was giving me evidence that they were making
even
haste.
Trying, right?
Right. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, there's a possibility that I might not be compensated for these credentials. So I took it upon myself just for fun to start looking for other opportunities. And within record time, I think I found a job position open for where I'm going to be working now, within a week of searching. And then
it was only a week?
It was only a week of searching, yeah. And then the weekend passed, and then Monday I got a call from them trying to set up an interview. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And then 2 weeks after that, I got an offer.
Dang.
So I was able
an offer that was equivalent to the amount of money you should be making.
Pretty much equivalent to pretty much equivalent to what I earn annually now, including all the overtime.
Oh, dang. And so it's just a strict, without overtime, this is what you're going to get.
Yeah, my base.
So pretty much you don't have to do overtime because you're already comfortable where you're at.
Exactly, yeah. So I would be doing less for equal pay.
Dang, less hours. Better hours now, right?
Right, less work and and equal pay. So I was able to land that kind of gig faster than our own company was able to.
Isn't that crazy? First,
Excuse me.
Even though obviously they gave you the job here and it like skyrocketed your career trajectory, but it did take months to get you in, almost like a year, I feel, to get you in
Yeah.
specifically to the job. But
Yeah.
then for this one, it took you like 2 months, not even.
Less than a month to less than 3 weeks to actually like accept the offer, and then less than a month
To start.
to start, right?
Which is
Which is it's
insane.
wild. So
That-
I guess it just really goes to show the differences in like I don't know like what the company's priorities are, or like what they're willing to do to bring in.
Like even if it was like a budget issue, right? Say for our department, they could have at least like emailed you, be like, oh, you'll get it starting January.
Yeah,
Just to
yeah.
give you like a time frame.
Yeah, I mean,
thing.
at least with a time frame, I could wait and expect it within that time. But the fact that they kept me in the dark for all of it,
Mhm.
like I kept on emailing. I would see the higher ups in the hallway passing by. I'll be like, hey, what's going on with this and that, and then they're like, oh yeah, we're working on it. So that's the most detail I ever. It's either I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on yet, or
We're
I'm
working on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is
So-
the same thing because without like a paper trail, you don't really know what is actually happening.
right. Yeah.
Which is like doo doo. But obviously, I am very happy for you because the certification is not it's not an easy test because obviously we have some coworkers that haven't passed it yet or are looking to take it. And from what I've heard, it's pretty tough if you're not studying or paying attention during the cases.
Right.
So, and how many questions was it?
The test was 170 questions, only 150 count for score. So
Okay.
there's like 20 dummy questions thrown in there that if you thought really hard about, and like even if you did get it right, it didn't
Didn't
count.
matter.
But yeah, if you got it wrong, it also didn't count. But you really had to do your best to get
Imagine if
everything right.
those are the ones you got right and then you
Yeah,
failed
and then everything else you got wrong. It's like, damn, I
brain.
thought I had this test. I got all this shit right. It's like, nah, dude, those questions didn't even count.
But yeah, super happy for you because now you pretty much got a role where technically you're the only actual full-time tech there. So technically you're like a lead tech at the when you start, you're
Technically,
probably
yeah.
put into that position, and then everyone that comes after you, you'll be the guy that trains them. So hopefully there's maybe even like preceptor pay when you do that stuff. But I know you didn't start yet, but are you excited?
I'm very excited. I'm very excited to have a new schedule, to get out of work at an expected time, and then just have the rest
Go out
the
of
day.
work when the sun's still out.
When the sun is still out. Because my new shift is now going to be 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. What it was previously when I was working with you guys, it was 2 p.m. to 10:30. Well, 2 p.m.
Till
to
close.
question mark. Yeah. Whenever those cases end. And I've had plenty of nights where it ended like we'd be taking the patient out of the room like midnight, 12:30, and then I'd be like getting up to the locker room at 1 a.m. and then I'll be getting to my train station by like 2 a.m. and then like that's already late. But then I'm expected to come in early for a double shift.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah.
Because technically you're supposed to have at least 8 hours of out time of the hospital. But for some reason, for like the tech position, just because there's not enough staff and certain people don't like looking at it, it's like pushed under the rug. And
Yeah.
it's a not fair thing. Obviously, people do like the overtime, but at the expense of your health, mental health, everything above. Like imagine like you probably go home and you still have to shower because you've been like playing with blood the whole day.
Nasty, right?
You're playing with blood the whole day, and it takes you like probably like an hour to get home almost.
Yeah.
Because like walking to the train station, you don't even know if your train's on time, going back to your apartment all the way in Jersey, and then walking to your apartment. So it's like an hour, still got a shower, and then most people, I'm sure you don't fall asleep right away.
I can. As exhausted as I am, I can't fall asleep right away.
Yeah,
I need at least a few hours to wind down.
Yeah, wind down time is
Yeah.
huge just to like ease your brain. But then
Exactly.
by the time you wind down,
It's time to
you
go
have
to
like
work.
2 hours
Yeah.
or an hour to go to bed, and like you're just going right back to work, and then you're exhausted for another full day, which is insane.
Full day meaning like
Double shift, yeah.
Yeah, because if I worked the previous night, I'm coming in for a double. Since my shift is at night, the shift I'm covering more, so I'm covering someone else's plus mine.
And usually, even though usually the morning shift has the longer cases, so you could technically chill, but that's even harder for someone with like lack of sleep.
Yeah.
To like be outside
Stay awake.
in the control room, be like, oh man, I'm super tired. But then once your real shift starts, that's when all like the fast cases start going, the pacemakers off, where you're on your feet. So you're even more exhausted now.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, I stuck it out for as long as I did because I didn't choice. But now with this new certification,
Open so many doors.
so many more options. So
And
me passing that exam was life changing.
No, for sure. And I feel like it opened up the eyes to all the other techs too, being like, oh dang, this is our newest tech, but he was able to pass it. He focused and passed it. And now he has a higher paying job for of course like less amount of time you're gonna have to be there, because like you said, everything for the regular shifts equals out to all the overtime you've done throughout the whole year.
Exactly.
And then better shifts, because obviously every other lab doesn't go as late as ours. And then it just opened up everyone's eyes to be like, oh shoot, there are a lot of other things that could be done.
There's a world of employment outside of where we work.
Yeah, and then since you have this full-time one, and then I know you said maybe you'll look into doing travel tech too, which you could get paid even more.
A lot more, yeah. So definitely in the cards. Got to explore and do a lot more research on that, just because I don't know how contracts work. I don't know where to go. I don't know who to talk to. But the money is very intriguing, so I'm definitely gonna look into it. Yeah.
And then I also saw you talk with like a lot of reps, because they obviously respect you a lot, because everyone would talk to you during cases and in the control room, and they obviously know you're smart. So they're gonna be like, you could also look into this, and that could also be another avenue for someone with your certification and your expertise.
Yeah.
To go into, which is insane that it took the newest guy to do it and to show the way to get out. Because like, even though like our workplace could be as toxic as it could be, but the for most part, like 90% of the people there are pretty chill to work.
Oh yeah, I love the people there. The work itself is even tolerable. It's just the hours are long, and when things get stressful, people's toxic side come out, and there's only so much of that certain or don't even deserve. So it's just a matter of time before we start looking elsewhere. But also, like, piggybacking on what you previously said about like the reps respecting me, knowing that I could probably excel in other fields. The past few days, they've been approaching me. They're like, "Oh yeah, good luck in your new adventure. If you ever consider like, I'm not going to name names, but I can even name that name of the company. But one of the mapping engineers came up to me. He was like, "Oh, you ever thought of mapping?" I was like, "I think you could do it." I was like, "Oh yeah, I really could see myself. I don't doubt that I could learn what they do." But then when I took that into consideration, they also have some
crazy hours.
Yeah. So when it comes down to it, I think the majority of my decision making was based on getting my life back.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So not working so many hours, not working so hard, being able to take care of myself. So that's why this new job is pretty much a godsend, because I'll have so much more time to take care of myself, get healthy again, get back to working out again. I haven't lifted in like 6 months.
Yeah, that's huge. And that's like for both of us, it was a big part of our lives,
right?
That we were like gym right after work, or do something, but then shit happened and work happened, and
you're just too exhausted to take care of yourself.
And then like right now we both have weird coughs going on, sick, just because like we're not taking care of ourselves, and
we're run down, all that.
End of the year rundown, and then starting January 2nd, right back to it for like there's no break. But for you there will be. But smaller learning. Like I was actually telling some of other techs, like now that you see what Kev is doing, he's going to a place where he has to technically do less work, and you don't have to scrub as much anymore if you even want to, right? I was like telling like some of the techs, I was like, you guys are probably the highest skilled, lowest paid techs.
I 1000% agree.
I was like, you guys know how to, if you guys wanted to, you guys could do all the pacing, you can do almost everything outside of the room, and then you could also scrub in for all the devices, and you know how to do all that. But you're not being compensated, which is terrible because of how much you're needed in what we do, which is just wild to me. But right. So for the salary from your previous employer, what was the range if you were not to do overtime? Like
if I were not to do overtime, the range for base pay was around 65 to 75. And then if you work nights, you got a night differential, which creeps it up to like maybe 80 something or 80 flat.
And then with all the mandatory overtime you have to do because you have to cover shifts, what did you, for the last 2 years, what did you kind of like range?
Between 90, 100K, 6 figures.
Okay.
So in order, like imagine that, like your base pay is 65 and you do so much overtime that it pushes you up to 100K.
100K. That's
so much time.
Like you've done someone's annual salary on plus overtime.
Mine. Yeah, exactly.
That wild. And then going into the new job, now you only have to do the 8 hours a day, and you're gonna get under 100, right?
The same amount, pretty much the same amount of what I'm.
Wow. And then I from what I've heard from people that work there, there's also potential for like bonuses and all that too. And I heard that health system also gives out like free swag too. So that's also
Right.
pretty cool.
Yeah, because we're non-union at my new job,
Mhm.
there's going to be a lot more freedom for management or whoever it may be to push the numbers to whatever they see fit, as opposed to being locked into a union contract. So based on performance, they could
So you're
reward
just gonna
me.
be dancing everywhere.
Yeah.
So I have a question with like obviously we don't know yet. You're gonna consistently be on here anyway. So like
Nice.
the normal thing what I'm reading is like a general rule while changing jobs, you should ask for a 10 to 20% pay raise over your previous salary, and you'll often get that increase. So I wonder, since you're non-union, and I'm assuming they wouldn't want to lose you after a year or 2
Mhm.
years after like you show how good you are there.
Yeah.
I wonder how it'll work with you negotiating another salary while also looking for like another job at the same time, because like we've been sending like memes to each other, like not memes but like information about like you should change jobs often, and since you're non-union now, so you're actually able to negotiate. I really wonder how high you could actually push that number.
I wonder as well, because they've been paying their travelers a pretty penny. So I'm like, well, if you want to keep, excuse me, a solid tech on staff, like either keep me or you lose me to someone else. So,
That's really it.
yeah.
Because again, once you learn another person's system, that's another skill under your belt, and then that door of that travel where they're already paying ridiculous money,
Yeah.
that door looks even more open.
Yeah, just with like
But
gaining more experience in multiple hospitals and new skill from everywhere that I go. Traveling, that's what traveling is. Like you're traveling from
hospital
yeah, hospital to hospital, learning new skills. So if I already did that between at least 2 hospitals, I had the skill set of that many facilities.
Yeah, like the most qualified, because the highest volume EP lab probably in the nation,
Yeah,
with
I agree.
the newest equipment,
Yeah,
with the with the worst equipment too.
yeah.
In
Yeah,
comparison,
we have like the newest technology with like all the research cases, but then when it comes to like back to the basics, we're like we slumming it still.
which is wild. But yeah, like dude, it's insane now, the trajectory of your career now that you're able to leave it, and then you could potentially just keep increasing your pay, bettering your life, and hopefully like you said, just like get your time back.
That's a dream. That was the biggest reason for me to make the decision to even highly consider taking this exam, because the more I saw that I would be doing, unwanted overtime, staying late, working that hard, like hustling during cases and in between cases, turnover and all this, I just started thinking to myself, like, how much longer could I?
Yeah.
Now, people have been doing this for a while, and that both impresses me and shocks me. That if I feel this run down only after 2.5 years of working like this,
And you're still super young, and these people are older than you.
right? And you consider that this is my first hospital job, and I'm gassed out, I'm burnt out already. I really couldn't imagine myself, like I couldn't project that far ahead and see myself still doing that, or I definitely didn't want that for myself. So like that's what really pushed me to like hit the books, start studying for this exam, and ultimately pulling the trigger to take it.
Was your girlfriend really like supportive of it as well?
Oh yeah, 100%. I remember like she would like we'd just be chilling and she would remind me, she's like, oh, do you need to study? So
That's really cool. And like that's like another thing too. Like, did you ever tell her how like run down you were?
oh, she would see it. Yeah.
Oh shoot.
Like so I would be texting her, like let's say it was a late night, it'd be midnight, and then I'll be telling her, oh, I'm coming home like maybe 2 a.m. Like I'll catch the last train out of Penn Station and I'll be home like 2 a.m. And then she'd be like, okay, like I'll pick you up. And I would feel bad that
she'd come and pick you up.
she would wait, she would like stay up and then, come over to the train station to pick me up. And I'm like, no, you didn't have to. Like I could walk to the train station, just go to sleep, because now like I'm putting her in my position of like having to stay up late when she absolutely doesn't have to.
And she works hard too. She's a nurse too, and like you feel bad.
Yeah, like she had a day of
doing
work
that.
too.
Yeah.
She had a full day of work, and I didn't want to like delay her night just because she has to wait up for me.
Yeah.
But she's like, very sweet for doing so, and I appreciate that. But like, she really didn't have to, or doesn't. Well, she won't have to anymore. So that's gonna be a
You'll actually be the one waiting on her.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, yo, I'll be texting her like, you coming home yet?
Right when she leaves the door.
Yeah. because
I'm
like
on my way home.
yeah, because like when because like I guess when she heads out for work, I'm coming home. Like I'm on my way home already. So, but yeah, like that's also what was I wouldn't say putting a strain, but like that's what stressed us out with my schedule, because I did have late nights, and I would always come home like exhausted, like I couldn't give her like any of my energy because I'm just shot. Like I just want to
Yeah.
eat and just like veg out on the couch and like
Yeah, and I'm
do
sure like the personality, as bubbly as like we are, at
yeah.
some point when you're that tired, the snappiness could happen too, where you're just
Yeah.
like, I just want to be left alone, and that's
Right.
it.
Yeah. Like, I got a double, like, I just got home. I got a double in the morning, and I just need to, like, not have human contact, which is not, that's not the type of energy that you want to come home with, especially to your significant other.
Yeah, especially like we don't like bringing home that type of energy, bringing work home.
Yeah. That's
But
one thing I
sometimes,
never want for anyone, like to bring the stresses of work home with you. I don't want that.
but sometimes it just happens, especially like you said, the stupid cases, really late at night, something happens, or
Yeah.
someone like snaps for no reason. It's like, and you just have to vent, but then you end up getting mad, and it just not a good energy. But
That's what the job entails.
and like the thing that sucks too is that I was like, we waited so long for Eric to join, and
Man,
he's starting the week after you leave.
it's a damn shame. Well, had they hired him when he was supposed to
Oh my
start,
god.
we would have at least had 2 months together.
Yeah.
And that also goes to show how they bring on new hires.
Yeah.
Like
7 months.
he was so 7 months like from his
First interview in June.
yeah, and then like what he accepted the offer maybe a month after that,
And
and then he was
messed
supposed
up the application.
right. Then he was
He didn't mess up. They
they
messed
messed
up.
up, yeah. Then he was
And
supposed to start in October, like shortly after I passed my certification. But
like
then
a day before or 2 days before, they're like, "Oh shoot, we messed up something. You got to
yeah,
redo this." And now he starts like January 8th. Which I also think, like, if he started in October, because that's when you passed your certification, that could have also been another reason to potentially to keep you to stay, because you have another friend
oh yeah,
working with us.
yeah. Like the family just keeps growing, and you're basically pulling our entire lifting crew onto the baby lab.
And like it just would have been easier, just like
Yeah, it would have
having
been crazy fun.
yeah, a lot of just friends working together. We all just get along. We all just do the work, and then we all just go home together. That's really
Yeah,
it.
that'd be awesome.
But dang, like that, like you said, that just shows that we're just like a stepchild type place where things aren't running as smooth as they should. So let's just compare the two jobs. So what was your roles for where you previously worked? And then we'll go into your new jobs roles.
My roles where we worked was everything.
True.
So to start the day off, I would be responsible for turning on all the machines for the cases, making sure everything's up and running. If something was wrong, we had to troubleshoot. I was responsible for gathering all the supplies for the cases, turning over the room.
Which is crazy. That shouldn't be your job, but
It shouldn't.
well, like the cleaning the floors.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, to speed things along.
Oh yeah.
That's what we had to do in order to not stay past midnight.
Yeah.
It didn't happen all the time, but it happened a lot of the time. What else did we do? We scrubbed in all the cases in order to set up the sterile table, the sterile field. Then we would stay scrubbed in for like pacemaker implants, and we would get yelled at pretty much every day if something was too slow or something wasn't working correctly. So it was a lot. It was a lot of physicality to it, just because we don't have the most efficient setup when it comes to storage.
True.
Like if we needed something for a case, like let's say we needed a specific type of catheter that we don't normally keep within the lab, well, we'd either have to go outside of the lab, like down halfway down the entire building, or our wing at least, to get whatever we needed. Or we have other catheters and supplies up on the 9th floor.
Oh yeah.
Where we had to like pause the case until like one of us could run up to go get it and come back. So it was a lot of calorie burning and steps during the day. Like I think on my Apple Watch, I averaged like 30,000 steps a day.
Damn.
Yeah, dude. My Apple Watch is crazy. How am I not ripped yet?
And then for the potential for the new job, what are your roles there?
My new job, I would be walking into the lab, turning on all the computers, turning all the machinery. That stuff's easy. Flip a switch, right? Then the biggest difference is I would not be in the procedure room at all, from what it sounds like. One of the per diem nurses that we work with now, who works full time over there.
Mm.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He somehow got hold of like a sheet that listed out the duties of what I would be doing.
Oh, he showed me that. He showed me that yesterday.
Yeah, and it's pretty much nothing that I don't already do, except it's subtracting a big chunk of it, which is scrubbing in. So I wouldn't be scrubbing in. I don't think there's even a reason for me to need lead in my new job. I would be basically in the control room at the computers. So I wouldn't, the physicality of my new job has plummeted in comparison to what I was doing working with you.
And that's awesome, because the people that don't know, when we say wear lead, it's like we work with like x-rays too, because we have to see like where leads are, or
Yes.
where all of our catheters are going up into the heart. And that lead, depending on where you work or depending on whatever company the hospital works with, could weigh a good amount. Like
Yeah.
it could be freaking heavy. It could be like 10, 15 pounds at some time. And you're just wearing it on your shoulders, wearing it on your hips, and it just could just like mess up your body. I noticed when I started working there, my posture went really bad for a while, because I was like hunched over, or like my hips would feel too shifty, because like I've always leaned one side, and then the skirt of the lead was always so heavy. But again, luckily for me, I don't have to wear lead as much anymore too.
You don't wear that too often these days.
but I think that was one of the main reasons why I also didn't want to like be in the rooms as much anymore too. But
Yeah,
that's for a different story.
when you take the number itself, 10, 15 pounds, and especially for us who are former powerlifters, yeah, 10, 15 pounds doesn't sound like much. But when you're wearing that all day, that wears you down.
Yeah,
I
like 12 to
remember,
16-hour shifts. Yeah.
yeah, and I remember on more than one occasion, my girl, like I would come home after wearing lead all day, and I would be shorter than my girl. So I lost height throughout the day. I'm like, golly, just because the lead is like bearing down on your spine. So I guess that's enough to
for doing it for so long. It's like,
it's enough to make you lose a few inches.
I guess it's like the similar thing to like, hey, it's the same thing as like, what is it, like the Chinese foot binding? You're doing it so long that it just automatically snaps. Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess it is the same concept. If you do something long enough, like your body will adapt whatever that stressor is.
But yeah, that is wild. But, and also like, it's not comfortable, because for you, especially when you had to scrub into, you're sweating.
Yeah.
Because the lead is heavy, it's thick because it has to be lead,
yeah,
and then
it's
you have
insulated.
clothes underneath.
Right.
So
I remember, like that also just brings up how much stress on your health my position, or I guess everyone in that position, like how stressful that really is, because not only are you bearing down on your spine wearing lead, exposing yourself to x-ray, and then like hustling all day, like not getting a break or whatever, and on top of that you're dehydrated all day because you're sweating so much throughout the day, because the lead is insulating, then you're wearing a sterile gown over that, so you're just sweating like crazy. I remember people that would take off their lead, and legit it looked like they dipped themselves in the pool and then just got out of the pool. It's disgusting.
And like you're saying, dehydrated because you're sweating, and you don't even want to drink water sometimes, because you're about to jump into another 3-hour case where you can't get out.
Yeah. So man, that's the worst feeling. I would never want to have to pee while scrubbed into a case, because then it's just like, now I'm in the case uncomfortable. So I'd rather dehydrate myself and then finish the case and then hydrate afterward, which is not the best for anybody.
That's the worst too, because it can get hot in those rooms too, because like you got the spotlights, and then you're also under stress because you're handing all the tools.
Yeah. And they're getting yelled at.
They're just like, what the hell's going on? And I gotta pee.
But honestly, I mean, we're like talking about all the negatives about this job, and these were reasons that accumulated to why I left. These are things that I wanted to change about my career in order to get my life back. So I'm gonna get my health back and get my time. However, there are good things about the job. The people are amazing. Everyone is funny for the most part, so we have a good time when we're just chilling. But yeah, there are definitely just some facts that I don't know. For me, it accumulated to not being worth it, because it was costing me my health and my time.
Yeah, that's true. Like I was talking with one of our other techs too, because I remember when you were saying like you might take the job, I was kind of be like, oh man, just stay. But then I talked with him, and then he was like, as much as we want him to stay, I think it's best for him to go, because just seeing the quality of life of how you'll be better out of here, even though we want you to stay. And I was like, you know what? You're friggin' right. And then ever since like I had that conversation, I was like, you know what? Just every time you talked about leaving, I was like, you got to do it. You got to leave here. Like it's just one of those things like you just had to do. You have to do it. And like, again, the career trajectory just goes so much higher now.
And this is
Especially
true.
that you've shown that you're willing to leave somewhere. Since that's on your resume, I feel that shows like the new employee be like, oh man, I better treat this guy good because he's not guaranteed to stay.
Yeah.
Which could be a big thing for your negotiating and the next job you go to if that happens.
Now that you just brought a resume, the resume that I submitted to this new place, guess so you remember when I submitted my resume to you to give to your manager in order
Yeah.
to like to start the process of hiring me, and you said it would have been better had I just submitted a blank piece of paper.
Yeah.
This resume, I only had one job listed for my employment history, and that was just where we were. And
Yeah.
during the interview with the physicians over there, they were asking me, it's like, oh, we're taking a look at your work history, and okay, you work at this hospital, and that's it. I was like, yeah, relevant to what I would be doing at your hospital, this is all you would need to see. And then they were like, oh, what'd you do before that? And then I thought I shot myself in the foot by doing that because now it's like, oh yeah, I was a personal trainer, I was a photographer, and that's like not related to the hospital work at all. So I really had to think on my feet and like steer the conversation
Back
away,
to
yeah, away from that in order to just focus on like, yeah, I'm willing to learn. Like I got my certification, like I could do this stuff. So it was just funny how, with regard to resume, yeah, like having nothing for our like
yeah.
bringing me onto our job would have been better, whatever I submitted. And then for this one I also had the minimal amount of experience.
Like I did something. One more extra line.
Yeah.
Did they really look at you weird? We're like, so when you told everything else you did beforehand, they're like, oh, so how did you get the job? How did you even like get
Yeah,
there?
I mean, I didn't want to emphasize or even just bring up. I didn't want to bring up at all that I had connection on the inside that was, able to, at least get my foot through the door. So
Uh-huh.
I really honed in on the fact that I was willing to learn. I mean, just like what you told me for, the interview when I was
Yeah.
onboarding, our job. Like Kev, just tell them that you're willing to learn. I was like, okay, I guess I'll repeat that strategy for this job. And I guess it worked. I guess with regards to job interviews and how you sell yourself, I think if you show that even if you're not competent enough or you don't have the experience to do the job, if you show that you're willing to learn, because I think that's what companies look for. They look for attitude over skill
Oh, 100%.
to a degree. So during the interview, if they like your personality and they see your initiative, then at least it's like you'll look better than a guy that has all the credentials on paper, but you would not be fun to work with or you wouldn't be good to work with.
100%. And I also feel like the voice, the way you like talk also helps because it shows confidence too, other than like someone shy or something like that, where it's going to be like, oh man, are they really going to fit in here? Especially in our line of work where we're like, we always talk about, we're getting yelled at or we're talking one-on-one face-to-face with very intelligent attendings. They're not residents, they're not fellows. These guys are like the top of the top in the attending world. So it's like, if you can't deal with that, like, do you have thick enough skin to even be here? But yeah, that's huge, man. So I've also been seeing that you're doing a lot of TikToks trying to educate people on the RCES. So if anyone has any questions on regarding the certification and everything about getting the certification, kind of questions, they want to learn it, how could people get in contact with you?
They could get in contact with me through my TikTok, which I recently changed the handle for EP Tech Kev on TikTok. I occasionally post educational videos about EP in order for EP Techs to pass the certification. I originally started that because these were tutorial videos for my guys, for my techs, so that way they could be on their road to taking the exam and then passing, either getting their raise, hopefully, or getting out of there if they wanted to. So I post videos occasionally teaching things from the textbook and things that you have to know for the exam. EP Tech Kev is my TikTok handle, or if you just want to dick around with some funny stuff, find me on Instagram at the Kevin Mendoza.
Perfect. And I hope you continue doing that because I feel like that is also like another thing you can monetize, because I don't think a lot of people know about RCES, and being one of the forefront people probably to do it on social media could definitely blow up for you. And obviously, thanks for coming on here again. We're going to definitely check in with you when you're more in your role at the new hospital. And thanks for hanging out, man.
Thank you, Brian. Always a pleasure, always fun. And I'll see you soon. Not at work, though.
Yeah, not at work. And Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year, bro. Love you.